Hello, everyone. This is Evan with Political Breakdown, and I would like to also just touch on a few more things on the student debt and higher education. I do think it's very interesting that he does want to um, create or to enable student debt to be dischargeable in bankruptcy. I think that's a really cool idea. Um, I do think that there are potential economic issues that could be present from that, but no more issues than would be present from student loan forgiveness programs. So I think that that is absolutely fine. Um, Now, as for just simply talking about my own experience, and also just to give you guys an idea of what you guys can also go and do just to make sure that you guys are not paying exorbitant rates for higher education, is to go and find your state's equivalent to job service. Um, and in particular, my state, we have something called the WIOA program. I cannot remember the exact acronym for what that stands for, but essentially, what we get to do with that program is there's a certain amount of state funding. It does not pay for all of your college, but it does a lot of what college would cost. Workforce, let's see, sorry. Um, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So um, that's an act that is sort of overseen by the Department of Labor. Um, and I don't know if it's a national thing necessarily. I just know that um, it's at least a big thing. And each of the states, they get to sort of figure out what they need. So in my state, we've got nursing, we got um, education, we've got so many different things that if you want to go into those fields, they will help you go through college. They'll pay for a laptop or they'll pay for your clothes, and they'll also just pay for a certain amount of money for your education. So that's a very cool thing that you guys should check out, especially if you guys are under the age of 24. It's fairly easy to get in, especially if you have any sort of diagnosed mental illness or anything like that. Um, so that's just something to look at, and hopefully you guys take some sort of action if you guys are struggling to pay for higher education. Now, back to what I think that we're sort of here for, which is talking more about RFK Jr. Um, so, let's see here. He's got some environment. That's always good to see. All right, so he is in favor of um, creating incentives for industries to sort of go to a low environmental impact, um, go towards lower environmental impacts. Doesn't really seem like he has a lot of policies or like specifically worded policies to get us there. But being that he would be able to oversee the EPA if he were to be president, um, and being that he, you know, forgot about this fact, but he was an environmental lawyer suing big polluters, so it would be pretty. Um, I'm sure that he probably knows what to do once he's actually in office to sort of help with the environment. Um, he would actually be able to take action. If you guys remember, there was a few trains that derailed, and it created a huge environmental impact in what was it, Iowa, Ohio, somewhere in that Midwest type of area, or that area of the Midwest. Um, I'm sure that he probably would have had a little bit more of a quick and decisive uh, path to fixing that issue when it had arrived, unlike where we saw Biden, our current president, and one of the two main candidates outside of Kennedy. So that would be an interesting thing to see. Um, I would be very much for roughly what I've seen so far here. Um, though I do think that it is important to um, note the rate at which you remove, all these different natural gas and whatnot. It is important to get rid of it as soon as you can, for sure. But making sure that you're doing it properly and not leaving any sort of issues with the grid. So that would be the only thing to note. He does not lay out the exact plans for that, which is fine. I mean, it's a political campaign. You aren't going to line out everything right away. All right, so honest government. So this is getting to, looks like it's getting to a lot of, okay. So he is saying mainly that he wants to build up trust, I guess. Sort of make sure that things are transparent as far as how they run, and that includes things like social media platforms, slash, just tech platforms in general, the, Wall Street, SEC, or Wall Street controlled by the SEC. Okay, okay. Yeah, so he's just mainly trying to make sure that um, we know that he's looking to make sure that the government is clean in how it operates, along with any sort of closely associated um, parts of our nation. So that's generally a pretty good thing. I think that we would all love to see a little bit more honesty as far as, I'm sure that we've all heard um, just simply issues with how people say that social media is operating, whether that be shadow banning or whatever. But that would be a topic for a different time. Right now, we are on the RFK part. And reconciliation is the next section in his policies. And it looks like, okay, so he hasn't so far laid out any policies for what will heal the political divide that we have seen, and sort of funny that it's mentioned here, the reconciliation, the heal the divide, being that, you guys are watching Political Breakdown, and of course my name is that double entendre where we are having the breakdown of the political order currently as we are seeing it unfurl. So that is sort of just a funny little thing, funny little aside. This is honestly sort of one of the biggest things where he is correct on. So this section mainly talks about needing to pull back from helping with Ukraine. I mean, of course, there's pros to helping out with Ukraine, but as we saw in the news recently, Ukraine recently left, what was that town? They pulled out of some of their troops from those towns, so even with the help that we are giving them, all the money that we've sent over, it's not helping them, and it's certainly not helping us. It would have been better if we were to have found one of those outs. There's a peace deal early on that the US and Britain allegedly told Ukraine to not go for, and that was definitely a mistake. So we definitely need to sort of rally in our defense spending and also make sure that we know how we're spending it. So this is a fairly good part of his campaign that I don't know if he really speaks enough about, frankly. He definitely could speak more about it, and that might actually help him in the polls. Um, Now, let's see here. We'll go to the border, which, good. He considers it a humanitarian crisis. There, yeah, okay. So, I like that he says what the actual root of the problem is. Um, Immigration is being administered by the cartels, not our government. Um, there's been the attack from the right that it's all because of Biden, that all these people are sort of flowing over the border. And sure, there's to some extent some blame that could be placed on him, but it's not just Biden. The cartels see an opportunity. They're going to take it. They're going to make a lot of money off of the people trying to get across the border. And that is just simply one of the issues that we have to contend with currently. You can also see that, um, you know, he's making sure that we know some of the reasons why the border is important. You know, he mentions fentanyl, he mentions all the humanitarian issues, such as the 135 kidnapped migrants that were at a stash house. So, yeah, this is sort of an important topic. Um, it's definitely going to be something that, um, if he can get out the messaging, he might be able to take more away from Trump and sort of split that equally, um, in that sense of where his votes are coming from. Yeah. So that's good. Yes. So this gets into a topic that could easily be multiple videos, and there's many videos on YouTube you could easily look up. Um, all the different sort of coups that, like, I saw a video in my suggested actually just recently today, I think, um, that at least claimed, I did not click on it, though I do have it in my watch later, not on this channel, but to show all the different coups that the US has caused in different places. And so, especially in Central and South America. So that is really important to sort of point out and also not partake in again. So I'm glad that he's sort of showing that as part of his campaign. So, yeah, I'm glad that he is talking about freedom of speech. I'm glad that, honestly, um, he's not my top pick for candidate. Uh, there are some issues that I have with him, as I've sort of shown, like, this could be slightly better. But it's important for us to vote for a third party, anyways. And unfortunately, this will lead us into a third part where we will take a little bit of a deeper look into the civil liberties tab, the racial healing tab, the Native Americans tab, revitalization, veterans, and hopefully AmeriCorps and labor. But for right now, that is all that I can say for today. This is Evan at Political Breakdown, signing off. Have a good night. Let me know a little bit more about what you want to hear about next week in the comments.